Welcome back to Junkie with Junior. So today is a very exciting day. I've been very patient on this one, been looking forward to it for a long time. It was finally time to step up and get some equipment at the house that I needed for a while. It would have made a lot of projects easier along the way, but as life has it, you just build up to things, and as you get the ball rolling, then you can get some more equipment and improve upon your quality and just keep making things better. That's kind of the whole deal of working on stuff yourself, is to make it all better. So what do we got? Well, put the kids to work today. Got a brand new welding cart back here. They already put it together for me. Just had to double check a few things on it, make sure we're good. But we've got a brand new Everlast TIG welder, and went ahead and got the liquid cooler for it as well. So let's get this thing unboxed and check it out. So excited. And yeah, there's a ton of different welders you can get out there. I know everybody's got their own opinions, their own brands, their own colors and all that stuff. Trust me, I've been a blue welder guy for many years. And I used a red one recently, never used one before. Worked great. I was really impressed. But another good friend of mine that actually taught me how to weld, he's like, this is a really nice welder for the money. So thanks, Russ, for your pointer on this one. The guy that got me started, I had to trust him on it. But didn't want to spend a lot of money on something because I didn't have a lot of money to spend, and I'm not making a living on it every day. If I was doing production work, it'd be a different story. But for the little bit that I do here and there, went with Everlast. Price point was really hard to beat. The welder itself was like $13.50, and then you can get the cooler to go with it, cart and stuff. So you wind up spending a little bit of money, but you can get into TIG welding pretty dang reasonable from those people. And do they have good and bad reviews? Sure, everybody in every business does. But talking to them, they're willing to answer any question that you have. They know their product, and people, you read the reviews, people that did have issues with little things, they're on the phone to help them out, walk them through it, send them a new part if they need to. So it seems to be a really good company. And so what if I use a thing for 5-10 years, if it lasts that long, whatever, and then I had to upgrade down the road if I was into some other kind of bigger work by then. But for now, I really think this is going to be the welder that I need just to do stuff here in the shop, little odds and ends, and make nicer products. So let's get this thing opened up and check it out. So as far as the packaging review, they did pretty good on this. It has those white straps around it. They ship them separate, but just the cooler taped shut, and then it has those straps around it. So that's pretty good. Don't see anything damaged on the outside of the box from the shipping company. Golly, look at all the foam in this thing. They really do a great job spending the time on getting this stuff in here so you don't have to worry about it. We got a packet of, I don't know, some kind of cool stuff. All right, we'll have to figure that out. I'm sure there's some instructions somewhere, but for now, we'll just set those aside. Actually, right down there. Okay, then got a hose over here. Must be for our water line. Looks like a pretty nice, some kind of, I don't know, maybe silicone-ish. Definitely not rubber. Let's see, super air hose for air/water welding, and you can cut it with scissors. All right, throw that down there for future reference. Okay, I'm gonna get this out. So the theory is the cart is designed for this welder and the cooler. The cooler goes on the bottom, and then somehow it bolts the welder to it, so it becomes one unit, so you don't have to worry about things sliding and shifting around. I'm a one-man band on the camera here, so I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down, get this out, set it on here, and see where we're at. Excellent job on the packaging. They did put some serious work into that foam, having it, cut to really fit around there to keep this stuff secure on the ride from across the pond, because, I love the made in USA stuff, but sometimes it's just not practical, and I wasn't looking to spend that much money. So far, between the quality of the cart, the cooler, everything is looking really nice. Pretty nice shade of green too. I do like that. Okay, so let's get the box and finger slicer 3000 and see what we've got in the big box. Man, this is so cool. I've wanted to do this for so long. Finally making it happen. Well, we've got a box inside of a box. I'd say that's some pretty good packaging as well. The instructions, so obviously we're going to read those. Just going to put them down here for now. Oh, I did find a blue hose in the other box, by the way. What we got here, nice power cord. Okay, so we got a little box here. Good grief, all kinds of good stuff. Okay, well, I can't do this one-handed. Set the camera down, be right back. All right, so that box that was off to the side, it has all sorts of hoses and foot control and all that kind of good doodads in there, and a nice handle. So what's the sense in trying to lift this box out, the welder out of the box, excuse me, without the handle? So I'm going to take these 4 screws out of here, and let's install this handle and make life easier. I mean, that's why they sent it, so that we could use it to pick the thing up. And yes, for those of you wondering, did have her back down. Didn't want to run full throttle and strip anything out. All right, let's get her out of here. Ain't she pretty? Fits on there pretty nice. We're gonna have to bust into some instructions and see how they actually want this thing to sit on here. Might be missing something and have to pull out a screw somewhere. Oh, but I have to take the little feet off the front, and that'll tighten up this gap here. So I've got some instructions to read. Okay, so you got to remember when you're watching these videos that I make, you're not dealing with the smartest person here, that's for sure, but I do like to read instructions when I can. Unfortunately, this isn't in the instructions of how to put these two together, so I thought we'd be able to figure it out. Well, I thought there were some feet on the bottom of here, but I was wrong. This is the welder. I've got it laying on its side now. Lifted it back off, and it's got this little deal here. Okay, well, that looks to somewhat match that, so apparently you just set it on there, slide it forward, and slide it back. So I'm gonna give her a shot. Yep, look at that. There's no gap. Oh, we got a little gap there. So let's just take it, push the thing back like they intended it. Man, I'm such an idiot. Oh well, that part's done now. So we still got to figure this out. I didn't see these in the instructions. It's got a threaded bolt hole. I don't know. We'll have to do some digging to figure out. I would assume it's going to be something, you know, kind of goofy, like maybe goes inside of here to hold these two together or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but we're going to brainstorm on this for a minute. All right, the more I stare at it, the more it makes sense. And then I found that first bag of hardware that I threw on the bottom of the welder actually has the little screws that I need. So, dadgummit, these little brackets are going to get bolted back here. So then when it slides back into place, it's going to go through that screw hole right there. And then we can put a screw in through it and lock the two units together. All right, got them slid back together. And just like that little screw hole there, we can put that screw through there, and the two units are locked together for good. All right, so she's looking pretty sweet. Figured the next step is going to be to go ahead and get some of the accessories out, you know, cords and stuff, and start plugging those in where they go. Got a little bit of work to do before we actually fire this thing up. And there's a lot of little stuff that, yes, like I said, this is an imported welder, but there's just a lot of little things that are really nice and impressive when you see it. And it doesn't mean it's all junk. I'd prefer to have made here, trust me. But this ground clamp, for example, really nice, cast brass, has a copper pin, nice and strong spring, so you're going to get a good connection on whatever you clamp it to. It's got a nice Allen head screw there, but what's a hose clamp doing on a cord? Well, pretty smart little idea. They cast a little slot in there and they clamp it so that whenever you're grabbing it and moving it, it's not trying to rip the wires out of the set screw all the time and getting all frayed and nasty and having to remake that. So once again, that's one of those really nice little touches that you don't always think about it, but man, it goes a long ways, and it's just going to make your equipment last even longer. Foot pedal, went ahead and plugged it in, wrapped the cords around there, nice little storage trays there, a couple of those, and then I pulled out the torch assembly. So it comes with a little starter kit with some different cups and collets, so we can figure that stuff out as we go. It's our torch. They call it the Nova torch. So this stuff's all going to plug right in, and you know, as imported as this is, what's more American than a blue jean jacket going over your cords here and hoses? I think that's kind of a cool little touch. I like that. I don't know, I'm dumb about that kind of stuff, but it looks like a nice little piece. So we'll get these plugged in and, you know, roll them up, organize them on the side there, and just keep chipping away at these little things. Once again, you'll hear me say it a lot. It's usually the little things that really impress me. So the fact that these come with these protective caps on them is pretty cool. Not that I'm ever going to use them again, because it's always going to stay plugged in. You know, once the coolant's in it, you don't want to deal with bleeding it out and stuff like that. So then we go to plug it in. It has these nice little collets on here, kind of like an air hose. Get in here a little bit closer for you. But then you just take these and push them. And that is a solid connection. It sounds good. It feels good. That's an impressive little fitting. I like it. Another thing to take note of, I went ahead and plugged in the foot pedal earlier like I showed you and screwed in the connector there. Real nice nickel plated connector. But then I was looking at the torch and it's got one of these. Well, I've never used one of these. I've always been a foot pedal kind of guy. I don't know that I would do well with this. There might be a situation in the future where I may try it, but for now I'm going to stick with what I know and just use that foot pedal. So in this jacket, the blue jean jacket if you will, or sleeve, whatever you want to call it, that just has a zipper that runs all the way down it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out because I just don't think I'm ever going to use it, and I'll just throw it in the box in the bottom. If I ever need it, it'll be there, but we might as well get it out of the way for now. So this is interesting. As I was reading through this instruction booklet for the cooler, which is the lower unit, the welder's on the top, I went through the basic setup. You know, just make sure I'm not missing anything stupid, even though I do have somewhat of a clue what I'm doing here. But got to the back of the book, almost the end of it, and there's the little detail about those brackets. And, you know, not the greatest representation because they're it's kind of different to orient them with the three holes. Two of them are in line, one of them's offset, but once you're holding the bracket there, it's pretty obvious how it goes. Already figured that part out, the thing's locked together. But then I had these pieces here. Like, well, what the heck are those? I initially thought that this would have been something to hold the two together, but I was clearly wrong on that and already have that problem solved. Well then, the next page. These slide underneath of the welder right here. So take that out, slide in there, and it has a little recess on it so it fits in there nice, and then you can just run a screw down through here. Now it does not have a hole for that. We're going to have to make a hole. I might just run a self-tap and screw in it to try to keep things nice and easy, because it's going to be right on the edge of this 1-inch tube here, so it'd be a little bit funky trying to get a nut and washer situation on there. So I think we're just going to run a self-tapper through there. It's not like we're taking this thing off-roading or anything. We'll go the easy and effective route on that. Also in the box, there were these two handles. I was like, well, what the heck are those for? Maybe you use one handle or you can use two. But in the picture, it shows both of them on here. So you remove those screws, drop this down on here, and then let's drop those screws back through. I don't know that it needs them. It does give a little bit more of a finished look since this is a textured plastic to match the rest of it, and it's smooth on top there. So might as well put them on. They're never going to get used, but hey, they look cool. Now you can grab it with 3 hands if you want to. So the cooler has its own cord right down here coming out of the back on the bottom, and it's a pretty lengthy cord. Doesn't need to be nowhere near that, but I guess depending on your setup, who knows, they just make that stuff long. So rolled it up, zip tied it to the cart there so it's not flopping around in the breeze, and it plugs directly into the back of the welder, because when the welder's plugged in and turned on, then it also automatically runs that cooler. So it's just about time to set a bottle on the back of this. Got our instructions down here still, but instead of just putting that steel bottle directly on this steel plate, I want to see if I can cut a piece of rubber to set it on there, just so it's not rattling around and scratching it, getting rusty and everything like that. And then we'll have to go to the hardware store and get us a plug, because obviously they don't know what you're plugging this thing into, whether you're going to do 3-phase or single phase, and we're going to go single phase, so we're not going to use the red wire according to the instructions, but then we just have to have a connector so we can plug this thing into the wall. Well, there you have it. I think she's a good looking rig. Not to mention I got lucky, and the bottle that I bought is a nice shade of gray that I do happen to like. Everything fits on the cart really nice. They did a good job on all that. These hoses are a little bit long, so I went ahead and twisted those up and got them out of the way. You don't want to tie them tight because your coolant has to flow through there, so you don't want any of that bound up. You want it to be nice and free. And we must have did pretty good, because there's not too big of a pile of stuff left. Just consumables here. And this is the stinger for if you're going to stick weld, which I doubt I'll be doing any of that. A couple extra fittings there that we're not going to use for that other hose that was on the bottom, the blue and red hose I was telling you about at the beginning. Really good looking rig. I am impressed. And I forgot to tell you one minor thing / major, because a lot of people may want to know, what welder did I actually go with? Well, obviously it's an Everlast. but I went with an analog. I didn't go digital. I'd rather have a few extra knobs to turn instead of buttons to push. It's just my style. I'm a little more old-fashioned. I like that kind of stuff. It is the Everlast Power TIG 250EX. So we're going to have to go to the hardware store, get a plug for this thing so we can get some power. So once we get our coolant in here, get all the air bled out of the line so that we know we're good and not going to have any air pockets in there, we'll be able to plug this thing in and fire it up and show you guys how well it works, or how well I've been told that it works. We're going to find out. So I don't know. Next time we'll see what this thing actually works like. See if we can lay down some nice rows on aluminum is my preference, but we're going to try some steel as well. We're going to give it all a shot, see how everything turns out. So stay tuned. We'll have this thing up and running before you know it. Give it a shot. Hope y'all learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching Junkin' with Junior. See y'all next time.